A sincerely wonderful good morning, evening, everyone, and welcome to today's stream. My name is Decaf Nvidia. I'm a video game streamer who primarily plays RPG games. I am also a hobby voice actor and singer, so you'll hear me do one or both of those things during the stream. My pronouns are he, they, and today we are playing some good old reverse 1999. I guess at this point I've fully made it into a bi-weekly thing
Oh, it's our
where I'll
turn.
be playing the anecdotes.
Anyone say new ideas?
I think I found my kind of groove with this one. Plus, it gives me something to edit that's a lot easier or a lot better to produce for YouTube. I don't know why I just shook the straw because the straw doesn't do anything. It's the milk that you have to shake. Yes, I have yogurt milk in my pans. I am consuming breakfast, in a manner of speaking. But of course, before we get started, we just gotta make sure we do our dailies, as with any gotcha game or online game these days. This time it's a mobile game as well, so all par for the course. So let's go ahead and just check on some things. Hang on, just like
We're so piney to
fixing
wash
my
our
hair ever so
hands.
slightly.
No
I cut my
need
bangs
for that,
recently,
honey, to wash
so
your hands.
the hair on my forehead doesn't like droop over the same way it did before. But also, it's too short for me to like actually pull down because I have curly hair. Well, not curly hair, wavy hair, I should say. It's the kind that sticks up when it's too short, like right now. Does this count as the regular banner, or does this count as? Oh, it's time limited banner. Okay, so 10, 15. Okay, so my odds are not super good, but you know, I think we have a good chance of getting Getian on the banner again. And even if we don't roll him, because my policy for gacha games is to roll for everyone, I won't be missing out. Because it just means that I'll be guaranteed the next character is featured. Okay, we got him. I lost 50-50 to A Knight, so this is definitely Getian.
Has an incantation on you. It allows us to communicate and exchange our names as the
Sorry, just had to take a screenshot there. And I'm going to post that into my Discord server. Just for gacha envy. It hides so well that not even a dog can find it. Chapter 1, Sparrow in Hand. Hmm. Oh, sorry, Part 1. Two figures are reading, illuminated by the soft lights of the library. They sit in comfortable harmony, a tacit understanding between them. Ah, of course. Both fans of poems, so that makes sense. The only sound is the turning of pages.
Hmm.
It is the silence that will break as their mutual agreement ends. After all, this girl has a question forming in her mind.
Excuse me, Mr. Zima.
It seems the man is in a world of his own. He does not even notice her voice. The girl lowers her tone. It is shorter, urgent, and almost piercing.
Mr. Zima.
Zima and Zima snap out of their trance. Zima and Zima snap out of their trance.
um
What?
My apologies.
Sorry, maybe I shouldn't ask you here. But you have the most extensive knowledge of poetic imagery of anyone I know. I have a question that's been bothering me for a while.
The chickadee on his shoulder shakes its head in surprise and takes flight. She takes no notice, fully focused on receiving her answer.
Hmm. I've been wondering, what is your interpretation of a sparrow in hand and a goose in the sky? It is simply referring to these two animals literally, or does it include all the extended symbolism from previous works? Or perhaps, as some suggest, this is some kind of highly directional metaphor?
Hmm. Zima silently picks up a pen, preparing to write his response in the book lying open in front of him. Soneto keenly perceives his intent.
Ah, please don't do that.
The chickadee tilts its head, seemingly confused, perhaps even a little annoyed.
These books are from Timekeeper's collection. If you write on its pages in ink, it'll spoil the experience for the next reader.
Sorry.
It's not stone anymore. I forgot. It's because you don't have any blank paper. Here, use this notebook. Just like your piles of parchment, I filled many notebooks. Writing down my thoughts helps me clear my head. I y- use parchment to write. Of course, parchment is a very good choice.
I'm not
I
sure.
think there's some over there. I'll go look for it. Hold on.
Making a fuss during reading time. It's part of being social.
It should be here. It should be here. Ah, found it.
When she turns around, a breath of cold air sweeps past her. The book remains open on the desk. The quill, its owner, and the chickadee, named Zima, have all disappeared.
What?
You scared them off.
Mr. Zima, did I say something wrong? Every time I ask him a question, it seems like he doesn't want to answer.
Hmm.
And what did he mean by stone?
Alright.
Well, I could take a look at his file. Maybe it'll help me avoid making the same mistake again. I'll just take a little peek.
Huh?
Huh?
The file contains only a few pages, despite covering half of his life within it. Or I should have just snacked there. Whoops. Anyway, I realized that I forgot to change one of the settings here. Let me just do that real quick. Testing, testing. Okay, that works.
I press the button. Achieve the function. Humans are like machines.
Part 2. Whispers and Black Forests. The thick woods, glowing campfires, and plenty of agile and daring companions. Sonetto stands under the overhead light, slowly reading aloud the words in her hands.
In 1912, The poet was charged with insulting the highest authorities. He was sent to eastern Siberia, then transferred to various prisons, and eventually exiled to a solitary island. Over the next decade, he lived there in isolation. His poetry was inseparable from the animals on the island.
In the forest, Zima sits on a rock in a clearing. A group of animals surrounds him, a small forest gathering. Believe not in the unbelievable, and touch not that which is untouchable. A brown bear beside him places a thick paw on his arm, making the parchment in his hand wobble.
Um,
Sir, please don't touch. There should be no pause here. It interrupts the meter. Ahem. Look not back on the path you did not take. Iron wings, a warning to the hunter makes. Yet in his greed, he disregards it still. On his left, a fox paws his sleeve disapprovingly. Please behave. Wait until I am done. Try as he might, he cannot reach his prey. Futility destroys his world this day. A sable wraps itself around his neck. It whispers in his ear. Yes, you're right. The hunter is simply incorrigible.
um,
And I'm afraid that there are still many such people in the world. May they reap what they sow. In the background of this harmonious scene, a reindeer shakes its antlers. Her descent nearly knocks the poet off the rock upon which he is sitting. Ah, miss, I I understand. You are saying that the hunter is just trying to survive. I I simply don't agree. It is out of vanity, not hunger, that he refuses to return empty-handed.
um,
Are there truly gems in a pigeon's belly? The branch it pushes on cannot bear um, the weight of a man. The hunter aims to persecute the pigeon, yet it wants him. When he falls into the snow embraces him, truly forgiving.
um,
Yes, it reminds me of how can we not love Earth more than heaven? Nature is the fabric of our world. We are like potted plants, placed amid its great garden. A chickadee flies from afar, landing firmly and accurately on his shoulder. Surprise and intimacy, a pair of long lost friends.
hmm,
My friend,
Zima?
you have been gone for so long. I had begun to think that you had fallen into a hunter's trap. The surrounding animals immediately become alert. But there are no hunters here, just us. The chickadee shakes its head and chirps, displeased. It looks desperate for the full attention of its friends.
Um,
What did you say? Well,
sorry.
no, I should go. The news leaves him trembling. Zima's papers scatter the ground, but he is too harried to pick them up. He leaps down from the rock, puts out the fire, and disappears in the depths of the forest. His friends, of course, follow close behind.
According to the poet's own account, the years on the island were marked by bitter cold and loyal companions,
Hmm.
many friends.
By now, she has fallen into a nearby chair and is sitting in contemplation. Her gaze lingers on the file. These quiet years lasted at least until the mid 1920s, until a human journalist from the government set foot in that land of the Far East. That is a ways to travel. Self-Exile, Part 3. We were not exiled. We volunteered to build our homeland far away. Oh,
That's surprising.
we got some new background art. Um, that's surprising. It's so desolate compared to this place. Tobolsk is like a Leningrad of Siberia. There must be a bounty of untapped resources here. I'd be more focused on finding a place to stay if I were you.
May I ask?
In what direction is the nearest town? How far is it?
Huh?
Town. There's nothing but prisons here, lad.
What?
Prisons.
Yes.
You heard? Oh, old man voice. Yes, you heard me. Not even a pigeon would stop to crap in this cesspit.
Hmm.
So, where are these prisons? You're in one, mate. Huh, I get it. You're messing with me. You came all this way, and you don't even know a single thing about this place. You're dead meat. I just came here to investigate. Head south or buy another ticket and come back with us. That's my suggestion.
No.
I can't. When will your ship come back again?
I'm not sure, Dad.
Side barges are centrally managed. It could be 15 days, maybe longer. Until then, do your best to stay alive. We're on a boat. So interesting so far. A lot of our anecdotes have either been like the origin stories of how they joined, or the origin stories of like how they kind of became who they are now in the suitcase. Or it's literally anecdotes from when they're already in the suitcase. By using this like flashback storytelling method, they're kind of doing both. So we have the present version of Zima kind of hanging out with, or was hanging out with Sonato, and then in by Sonato reading the file on him, we're also getting more of his backstory of like what he was doing before he joined the suitcase. Small thing here too. Notice that on the contract, I'm not sure if it's big enough for you to see it. On YouTube, I'll zoom in, but like um, on the contract that's signed, you can see Zima's name, and then you can see two little bird marks, probably the chickadee's feet, the one that's also named Zima. So I find it cute that both of them signed it. Sorry, forgot to swallow.
The government journalist discovered the poems and stories while searching for shelter. They were written on pieces of wood, stones, and scattered parchment. Ecstatic at this discovery, the journalist set out to identify the author and collect them all.
Hmm.
Mr. Zima doesn't seem like someone who could handle something like that.
Yeah, he seems very introverted.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. If it weren't for these stone paved roads, I swear, I would have marked this place as a no man's land.
In an opening not far away, crude shacks, some empty or collapsed, stretch out like long scars torn into the earth. At the center lies an extinguished campfire.
That's weird.
What about those people who were exiled about a decade ago? Did they all escape? In those surviving records, the end of the exile policy. But anyone who found themselves in this environment must have constantly thought of escaping. Forget it. I'll look for a trace of life first. Maybe I'll find. Huh? The fire. It's still warm.
That's...
Is this?
Half-burned parchment is carried on the campfire. In a scene of attempted destruction, he picks up one sheet.
Parchment paper with poetry on it, and a still smoldering campfire. Someone is definitely here. Who could it be? Who would write poetry in a place like this?
It is an amazing discovery. The next occurrence, however, is even more surprising. A bird swoops over and snatches the parchment from his hand, like an eagle plucking a fish from the ocean.
Hey!
Hey! That's mine! I found it! You nasty little thing! Give it back!
Humans who neglect to exercise are no match for wild animals. What this human now faces is a primitive, yet most difficult to resist ambush. Primitive, but efficient. It is orderly and prepared.
What's wrong?
What's going on?
Shoot.
How are there so many?
The birds, dedicated driving off the intruder, give him no answer.
Please, let go of my clothes! Where are you taking me? The parchment? I don't want the parchment! Give me back my notebook!
No.
No! That's the brooch my mother left me!
In such chaos, opportunities are fleeting. Throw him in the ocean! Throw him in the ocean! He must grab it and take back what is his.
You!
Stop!
Give it to me! Let go!
The sudden surge of resistance deters the bird for a few seconds. There is a brief pause in their attack. Then, a figure leisurely steps out of the woods.
Please, um, s- stop. Uh,
Sorry.
uh, about your mother's brooch.
Interesting we're not getting a portrait for the journalist. Which either means he has like a weaker role in the story or is just unimportant overall. Which I guess makes sense, because like Zima should be the focus of the anecdote. Keep talking. Just keep talking. Part 4. An easy discovery.
We grow, yet no one knows. Like poplars in the winter.
That's...
Did you write that? It's beautiful, but
May I ask?
could you please ask your bear friend to stand a little further back?
The huge brown bear stands stubbornly between the two, a mighty guard.
Sorry.
Mr. Medvedevich, please stand on my left.
Oh.
You can talk to them. More, more than that, we communicate.
Okay.
Okay,
I have a few questions. In recompense for what you just put me through, could you answer them for me?
Uh, да.
Duh. Go ahead. Why did you come here?
What if?
If you prefer not to say, I'll ask a different question. There's a brief struggle in the poet's mind. Eventually, his rationality to end this quickly defeats his desire for silence. Because of a poem for the Tsar, I didn't want to write one. I say, the Tsar! So you are a political prisoner who once walked Green Street. I should have guessed earlier.
Uh,
But sentences mandated by the Tsarist government ended long ago. Didn't you know?
sorry.
I don't understand. To me,
Um,
there isn't much difference who I serve the sentence for.
huh?
Have you ever thought about going back? You should. You have no idea how great the motherland is today. He remains silent as the reporter batters on. The poet raises his head. As far as the eye can see, there is nothing but endless forest. Where is this motherland?
Um,
No, I already belong here. The poet was not interested in the journalist's suggestions. However, the journalist did not give up, hoping to change his mind through persistence.
I see.
I see.
Maybe
Maybe I shouldn't.
that's just.
I hope this isn't the story of the hunter and the pigeon.
I think that.
Our cause could use the support of a concise and compelling spokesperson like you. Ah, the turns of phrase, the imagery, the metaphors. Every line brims with an innate charm. Sir, even though you refuse to tell me your name,
I must.
I must invite you again to return with me. I would be more than willing to help you publish these works. If we bring back these manuscripts and transcribe the verses from the stones, your legendary experience surviving Devil's Island, enduring such a harsh environment, yet continuing to create in the face of it all, would surely capture people's attention. You're a living legend, the last of the old guard. If you return to Moscow, fame, money, and status will be all at your fingertips. The chickadee shook its head in silent refusal. Zima shook his head too.
Why?
No? Why? Isn't that what you want? He is clearly puzzled, so much so that he continuously inquires his reasoning. Or did you not actually write these poems? That's not important. Maybe I did write them. Or maybe Zima wrote them. Or Mr. Medvedich. Or Mr. Medvedevich.
Huh?
Zima. They are just poems. They, they are just poems. That is all. What do you mean by that? Are you some sort of responsibility shafting liberal? What is that? And I have no legendary experience. Suffering should not be embellished and exploited.
But.
You obviously have a sense of belonging to this place. You said so yourself. You fallen in love with it, despite its wild, primitive nature. That being the case,
Can this experience really be considered suffering for you?
Sorry.
This is my opinion. You haven't seen those who died. Oh, he wasn't always alone here. The scorched earth, the collapsed shacks, desolate forests with few traces of humanity, the roads paved with blood-stained stones. Where did they come from? Is there anyone who remembers?
Um,
Because of the cold, hunger, injuries, and despair. They are right under your feet. Go back.
May I refuse?
Go back alone. I decline your offer. And that is good timing. Let's take our first break because the ad's about to run. Well, I say break, but I'm just gonna eat some chips here while I do some stuff for the game. I should be at part 5, halfway through. Actually, we're making a lot more progress than I thought we would, so the last hour of the stream is still gonna be reverse 999. It just might be the case where I do a little bit more other than the anecdote, but we'll see. There's something more to be said. Part 5, Returning with Abundance. Please don't follow me again. He turns around to leave, beginning to regret his refusal of Mr. Medved. He turns around to leave, beginning to regret his refusal of Mr. Medvedevich's earlier offer. The chickadee crouches on his shoulder, keeping a black, seedy eye on the journalist.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sir, I have no other choice. When I arrived here, the boatman told me that it would be at least 14 days before the next barge docked. Until then, I really have nowhere else to go. So, head south. I'll probably die from hopelessness and exhaustion before I ever make it. You see, all these things I have with me are just like my life, completely useless. To be honest with you, I've come all the way here and found nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm totally clueless. Even if I manage to return alive, I'll be laughed out of the room by my peers. Every part of this horrible trip will have been a total waste of time.
It might be.
But if I follow you, and if luck is on my side, I might discover something new. I mean, that's very optimistic. You seem like a kind-hearted person. I'll ask my friend. I'll ask him to lead you to where humans gather. The chickadee jumps to satisfaction. It seems to be very much against the suggestion. Alright.
Da.
Alright. He thinks hard, trying to find a way to satisfy everyone. Does it usually take this much energy to deal with humans? Maybe you should not have answered any questions in the first place. What do you want?
Here's the case.
You still don't get it, do you? All your problems will be solved if you just agree to let me collect some of your poems and stories. Look, if you agree to this, I'll have the motivation to leave the island. No need to worry about what comes afterwards. I'll go back to minding my own business, No more following you around. Is that so?
Of course.
Yes.
Uh,
Then,
da.
uh, I agree. Take take them. Wow. I mean, yeah, that's one way to get what you want, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will retain your right of authorship. I don't need credit. Whoa, that is a huge deal, but I guess I kind of get it because he's not really living among civilization, so there's no point. But the author must always be named. Otherwise, what will the readers call you? The poet of Devil's Island? Or actually, he makes eye contact with the chickadee on his shoulder. A name slips off its tongue.
Hmm.
Zima.
Zima?
Zima is good. So Zima is actually the bird, not the person. The poet gave the sorry, Sonato's voice. The poet gave the journalist permission to take the sheets of parchment. But just when he thought that life would return to normal,
Huh?
thoughts.
Oh?
So it didn't then. Well, I mean, Verton had to find Zima somehow. Oh, my goodness. More people embark on the path the island. More people embark on the path the island, paved with blood and stone, in search of his poetry, his stories, and him. Dang it. Come on. Leave the guy alone. The island has never been more crowded. The forest is filled with masses of people. They swell and separate, bumping and shoving into each other like sardines, writhing in an open can.
So?
Is this what the papers were talking about? You know what? I'm gonna give them all Russian accents because they come from the motherland, so I might as well. Is this what the papers were talking about? Hang on. Is this what the papers were talking about? Stones engraved with poetry and fables.
Of course.
Of course. It must be. This place is just like the frozen wasteland near my hometown. If you don't work the land until your hands are riddled with frostbite, then nothing comes of the place. It's amazing that Zima can continue to create here.
I heard that.
I heard that. It's more than just amazing. It's downright unbelievable. I heard that Zima has been stranded on the island for so long that he can communicate with animals. He is almost a savage.
What if?
If someone who can write poetry as great as his is considered a savage, then does that not make the rest of us all the more primitive?
It might be.
Maybe he survives by gathering fruit and hunting? The first person to report on the poet on Devil's Island was the now editor-in-chief of the Truth newspaper, Zvorin. He certainly did not say anything about that. But he got the sheets of parchment with Zima's poetry and was promoted from investigative journalist to literary editor as soon as he returned. Last month, he sent all the sheets of parchment to an exhibition. I saw them at Mihaflovsky Castle. They were written in French and Russian, and something that looked like Latin.
So?
So, what you mean to say is that Zima can write in 3 languages and therefore cannot be a true savage? He's a cultured savage. What an oxymoron. What's an oxymoron?
So?
Nonetheless, I've been getting more and more curious. His collection of poems has been out for so long, but has anyone actually seen Zima in person? Are you implying something? Do you think this is some kind of elaborate hoax? I don't see why anyone would set up a hoax to increase tourism to, this place.
Isn't that so?
Besides, the poems on the parchment and the stones in front of us all seem so real, don't they? Anyway, I hope this is all real. I traveled here so that I might see him in person. Chekhov's journey to a distant land already seems like a hoax to me at this point. The conditions here are much worse than the book described.
Hmm?
The Q forgets about the war. Well, Zima doesn't mention that in his works.
The sound of discussion echoes through the forest. The echoes reach the ears of a neatly uniformed duo. A little ways away, they are approaching.
Ooh, interesting. Not only does the side character have a have a portraiture, but they also have eyes, which is usually reserved for like playable characters. Like even the NPCs in the main story, if they're not as important, they don't get their eyes revealed. Like the Manus Benedicte or the NPCs of the Foundation. This guy fully has eyes and like a pretty unique design. The person living on this island must be quite eccentric. I mean, engraving words on rocks by the sea. Traces of arcane skills on the beach. Heh, we even found writing on the cliffs in places where a pigeon couldn't perch. Although traces are obvious, they are totally irregular. Interesting. Oh, maybe this time we'll encounter a bear with several doctorates and serious social anxiety, like Mr. Mishka. Don't make such arbitrary guesses, especially about such boring nonsense. Quit contemplating and focus on the mission. There are even more arcane skill fluctuations here than on the cliffs. That proves we're on the right track. Where are these fluctuations? Oh, the Foundation members, I see. On those rocks up ahead. Oh boy. Poor guy just can't catch a break. Poet in the streets and freak in the sheets. Somebody has to tell the truth, right? Part 6. Poet in the Street. The two Foundation investigators trudge through the snow, like two cats with broken whiskers, making their way toward the rocks. It's rather crowded. If we dug down right here, do you think we'd strike oil? I suggest we wait for the crowd in front of that rock to disperse a bit before we collect samples from the carvings on it. Got it. You are the chief investigator, after all. What choice do I have but to listen to you? Even so, I'd rather we make decisions together. Understood. Not to interrupt, but there seems to be some commotion over there. By the by, let me see. The biggest rock over there. I suggest we go over and see what's going on.
Nice.
Agreed.
As they approach, the sound of argumentation grows louder. The debaters are stubbornly holding their ground. A crowd has gathered around them, awaiting the result with bated breath.
No
But
matter what.
but it wouldn't be impossible to develop this island, even so far from the mainland. After all, that's what several czars spent 200 years doing. So, if these are fake, who is Xena's ghostwriter?
I believe.
I still don't think there's a ghostwriter. Whether written on parchment or stone, there's an amazingly consistent and special warmth maintained in the language. It would be extremely difficult for a city dweller to emulate it. I'd really like to meet the author. After a brief silence, the dissenter speaks again, this time in words of praise. He is actually quite admirable.
Hmm?
The savage, you mean? Think about it. If it's true, then this person has been living here in this place for all these years. Somehow, he has survived while writing beautiful poetry in the process, and for some reason, he's never escaped or left, even after becoming famous.
What if?
On the other hand, if it's false, it still means that someone has taken the time to scratch all these poems in these stones and write in 3 languages on those parchments you saw. It's quite a feat.
Yes.
Yes, from that perspective, it's remarkable nonetheless. It actually is.
A consensus, however brief, has been reached. A new voice of dissent echoes from somewhere in the crowd.
How disappointing. There's nothing remarkable. One could see this anywhere.
Um.
Even a child could write this.
Sorry, just had to answer the door for someone. Gonna help them after the stream is over. Where were we? Oh, right. So Zima seems to have snuck into the crowd, tried to dissuade them from arriving.
The crowd seemed to have ruined everything. They continuously pour into the island, expressing their opinions about the engraved stones. They persistently searched for any trace of the poet's existence, but this time, the poet did not hide. He tried his best to get everything back to normal.
May I ask?
Excuse me, do you know the poet? Do you know the poet? How else could you make such a judgment?
Um.
Anyone with eyes can see it.
Oh,
Then you have insulted not just the poets, but all of us, too. These lines are so blunt and crude. The technique is inferior. It's like sticking straw into the tundra and praising the land's vitality. Do you think you could write better? It's just nonsense carved into stone. Even you could write better.
Well,
I suppose you are a famous poet yourself. May I ask what works you've written? When I return, I shall seek them out and read them. This comment is met with a wave of laughter. During the conversation, the crowd is divided into two distinct camps. The instigator, who is vigorously disparaging these poems, stands alone in the center, like Moses after he parted the Red Sea. The difference is that this Red Sea has not parted to give way to him, but to allow them to confront him more fiercely.
Um.
I
The chickadee perched on his shoulder, pressing against his neck, eager to alleviate this moment of speechlessness. Language, whether written by hand or spoken from the tongue, has never seemed so pallid as it does in this moment. Sorry, I did the wrong screen. You guys couldn't see that. In the strange silence, a faint blue, icy halo appears beneath his feet. The howls of beasts and the cries of birds echo from the forest behind him.
look, the man in the middle. It's the same arcane fluctuation. He looks pretty much the same as the others. Is he the arcanist who's been carving things all over the place? He must be. And now we know why. He's a poet. And he knows it.
Listen, the sound of the heaven's flute draws near once more. Beneath the cliff, a hidden conversation quietly unfolds. Provided that conversation is understood in the loose sense of the word.
I see.
We know you are trying to dispel the influx of people coming here. Otherwise, you wouldn't have risked exposing yourself by coming out and disparaging your own work. Even if you criticize your own writing as worthless, the people who are already here will not leave easily. Alright, we'll register you as a slightly extreme, reclusive arcanist. He is a poet. Ah, the chickadee flaps up and down unceasingly.
um,
It's all right. Sorry. What did you say? I think he was talking to his birds. Oh, I've heard about that. That some people communicate with animals, like chatting with a pike while ice fishing. A well meaning fisherman is likely to master that skill. Or have you heard the fairy tale? He's an arcanist.
um,
I.
So,
Therefore, I must remind you that your previous actions violated the public security law. You may not have meant any harm, but they were dangerous nonetheless. The chickadee chirps fiercely, trying to argue with them. The poet remains silent. There's no need to be so serious. Nothing bad happened, did it? It's part of our job to handle these things before they become a problem. Alright, alright. I think I mentioned when I introduced myself earlier that we are the investigators from the St. Pavlov Foundation. This is a routine investigation to locate arcanists.
um,
When we talked, we detected a large scale fluctuation in arcane skills. Those carvings and the bizarre spots on the cliffs. You wrote those, right? But I didn't quite understand them. Don't pay any attention to him. Yes. A small gap opens in the stone wall that is silence, letting a sliver of light shine through. Those poems. You wrote them, right? They are beautiful, even though their location is a little strange. It is best to talk about poetry with the poet. It gives them some distance between themselves and their words, allowing them to speak more freely. Standing before the gap in the stone, a happy expression at last appears on the poet's exhausted face. They're allegorical poems. I wrote them for passing birds to read. I see. That's why I didn't care about credit. The investigators from the St. Pavlov Foundation gave the poet another choice, a choice he had never imagined he would be presented with, and was genuinely shaken by.
hmm.
Then Mr. Zima joined the Foundation. So, in summary, the St. Pavlov Foundation can provide you with a quiet, safe, creative environment, perhaps even an arcanist companion for you to talk to, and so on and so forth. If you have any special requirements, the specific terms can be negotiated further. Registration does not affect an arcanist's freedom of movement. We simply need to know your whereabouts. Indeed. In fact, many arcanists like yourself, who prefer to be alone, agree to be registered. After all, there's no harm in it. Why not think it over? Like a census. Ah, yes. I almost forgot to ask. What is your name? The chickadee flies from one shoulder to the other. It happily chirps a word. Name.
hmm,
Zima.
Zima?
Zima, right? Okay. I understand that this place might be more familiar to you than your motherland. The idea of a motherland is symbolic, after all. I'm sure you are more aware of that than most, given your literary leanings. Listen to me. Whether you make a living with your pen or your hands, it's all the same. Anyway, you don't have to make a decision right away. We'll be staying on the island for some time. Yes, this area is yet to be explored by the Foundation.
It might be.
There may be other arcanists.
Um,
Zima knows there are no other arcanists here. He has touched every rock that the sea strikes along the shore, has spent countless nights under the moonlight wandering through dark pines, and has sat by many campfires reading poetry. In the 6 month long winter, amidst the fierce gusts of the westerly wind and the brief warmth of a clearing sky, there is no one else.
No other arcanists, just him and his friends. He knows, and he knows it well.
Um.
I don't. I
Sorry.
don't know. From the forest of the cliffs to the coast, thoughts and hesitations draw out time to infinity. Zima looks out at the rising sun from the end of the long, empty dock. A distant semicircle, a fire held in the hands of the night, splitting sea from sky. It is bright enough to scorch the eyes, or at least enough to make them sting. Everything feels small before this vast horizon. There we go. Wow, Santa turned out to be a lot shorter than I thought it would be. Don't worry, the future isn't all doom and gloom. Part 8, something else. The poet accepted. Oh, sorry, Soneto.
The poet accepted. He completed the registration the next month, the only additional condition being that he would continue to stay on the island. After 3 months of negotiations, the Foundation retrieved the exhibited manuscript from the authorities, but the poet never returned to take them. The original copies are currently housed in the Far East branch of the Foundation Library. Copies are also available for reference in other branches. The library.
That's awesome.
I'll go check there in a bit.
She leaves through the end of the file. There is only a half blank page and a hardback cover. Scrawled in the margin is an almost imperceptible signature. Zima.
But before I go, there is one more thing I have to do.
Apologize? Some folks just like to be left alone. The sky is brightening as the morning mist clears. Platinum awnings dot the beach. In the distance, a heavy barge from a moor is outlined against the shore. Magnificent yet small, it bobs like an iceberg floating in the sea. The ship is here. Zima stands at the dock, surveying the scene as he did when he first set foot on the island. The chickadee by his ear chirps a question, and he answers, I still don't know. Perhaps I should go to the Foundation. Just like they said, there are many people like me there. I can write poems and forget all about the wilderness, fires, sickness, and hunger. I won't be bothered by those people. It'll be like heaven. Just need to board the ship. Do you understand? The chickadee sings a poem, which fails to answer the question. A fleeting smile crosses Zima's face. You understand. But here, the sun and moon are eternal. Eternal stones, walnut shells, parchment, and all of you. The joys of heaven are too vast and too remote. Let's go back. And now we're in the present, right? Ultimately, he chose to stay on the island, I guess. The corridor leading to the library is as empty as it was when she left.
Mr. Zima's usually here at this hour. I hope he didn't change his plans.
Soneto gently knocks on the half-open door.
Uh,
Mr. Zima?
The only response to the chirping of a chickadee. Zima is indeed there, along with a scroll of parchment and a bottle containing a strip of paper.
huh?
That's the parchment I took out earlier. And a bottle. There's a paper inside. Is it for me?
Okay, you just needed time. And, space. Zima gives an earnest nod.
Alright.
Okay, I'm going to open it. Please read.
Hmm.
Huh? Please read what?
She looks up. Zima's already unfolded the parchment on the table with its beak.
Ah.
Ah.
Of course, a poet would present a poem. Poetry can give voice to the dead. Poetry can be a prophecy, or simply an expression of one's thoughts and emotions. In 100 feet of snow, a dead branch a quill will be sufficient to write about the moon's passage, both night and day, to write about the frosted needles caught in treetops, the sound of the wind, to write about the nothingness of night and the all-embracing sea. They light a bonfire, cracking, flickering, and before the fire leaves their eyes, they sing. What did you see? The rocks do not reply, but a young voice says, humanity. Hmm. Zima's small, distinct black claws. Zima's small, distinct black claw marks are stamped on the corner of the parchment. So I imagine this is the poem that little Zima kind of whispered into Mr. Zima's ear as he was trying to decide whether to board the ship and join the Foundation, like in a physical capacity. Which choice did he make, though? That's something I'm not quite clear on. Hmm. I mean, he's had a contract to be left alone on the island, but the fact that he's here in the suitcase kind of gives me the inkling that he probably eventually left. A budding sprout, the branching veins of a leaf. The two signatures form a journey that has never been taken. The end. Yeah. This particular anecdote was shorter than usual. Oh, hang on. I have a visitor. Hello, Ensign. Ensign, Ensign. Come on. Upsy daisy. Whee. Ow. I forgot that my headset is connected. Sorry for the loud sound. Hey, Ensign. Hi. Just being a cutie. Enjoying the aircon? Oop. Are you adjusting or trying to jump down? I can't tell. Adjusting. Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave you on my lap. So if ever you want to jump down, just let me know, okay? me go ahead and collect these rewards. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Oh, careful. Careful, baby. Wait, you're. You know, I'm done voice acting. I can probably take the earphones out of my ears. And focus on you. Wee! Okay, you wanna go down? Alright, I'll put you down. Come on. Yeah! Nice little short story about introverts. Can't say I relate 100% because I'm not really an introvert myself. I am an extrovert, but I can relate with the social anxiety. That's something that introverts, extroverts, and ambiverts can share equally. But yeah, looks like we finished way earlier than I thought we would. I really thought that we'd have more to do in the anecdote, but no, not really. Just gonna do some weird things real quick. There we go. And thank you everyone so much for stopping by for my stream. Aki, congratulations getting first, and to everyone who was lurking, I hope you enjoyed the not so great Russian voice acting, but had a nice time nonetheless. Play the game for yourself if you'd like; it's pretty good. Um, so as I send you off, keep in mind and remember that Decaf and Videos create a Creative Commons Attribution, non-commercial share alike 4.0 international license. Off you get. You can ring my bell, ring my bell.